Eunice Mathis, and I'm here with the wonderful Alfrea Boney. All right, and so if you don't know who I am, my name is Eunice. I'm a registered nurse and the owner of Florida Training Academy. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about connections, collaborations, and accessing those community resources. So whether you're just starting off as an entrepreneur or you are an experienced business owner, you have to know people who know people in order to grow your business. And so, Alfrea, would you please, well, first of all, welcome, and would you please tell the others about yourself? Like, who is Alfrea?
Okay, so I am Alfrea Boney. I am the CEO of PSC Consulting here in Jacksonville, Florida. I've been here about 10 years, but my business has been around since 2008. And so I work with businesses and nonprofit organizations with workforce and professional development training.
She's amazing.
And strategy and connecting. I am the capability connector here. And so it's all about just helping people get to their next level.
Yeah. When someone asked me yesterday, they're like, well, what do you do? And I tell people I connect good people with good people. And so that's why I'm so happy that you're able to come here today and just to be able to speak to our audience. And so I ask everyone this question, Alfrea, how did we meet? You got to go way back.
It was when I first came to Jacksonville, but I wasn't in Bridges.
I think you were at Southern University or somewhere?
Southeastern,
yeah,
Southeastern College on South Side. That's where we met. Yes, that was my stopping ground. That was when I literally came here, had just starting over, just really starting over. Had laid the business to the side as we do. We pick it up, we put it down. But God had other plans, and it just has allowed me to kind of really just connect to community, but also to build network and to build brand.
Yeah, so what I like to tell people is that, you can keep your goal. You can be flexible about achieving your goal, but just remember what your goal is.
That's
and
right.
So we're going to have those distractions. And me and Alfrea were talking earlier about writing books. We're both authors. If you will just write down your goals in a journal, and then if something happens, I promise, as soon as you write that goal down, something crazy is going to happen. Whenever you get everything settled again, go back. and you will see it again and write it down and pick up from where you left off at. And so in us working together in the past with Jack's Bridges, I know I have some questions here that I want to ask you. But when you say that you had this business before and then you transitioned to Jacksonville, started doing something else, and then went back to the business, what made you start being a business owner full time? Like, what was the transition point?
Being tired of being tired. So my career span has been like 20 plus years in talent acquisition recruiting. And the business obviously was born out of that industry and out of the need that I saw. But it was in 2019 that I was trying to juggle both at the same time. Take the PTO, go do some training, come back to work. And I realized that if I believed in what I said I did and what I knew my value was, then either you just go all out or just say it's a hobby and do that.
Yes.
So I had to bet on me in that moment. And it was the best decision, and it still has its moments now. COVID definitely did a number. And it's okay to shift back when you need to.
Yes.
But like you said, keep the goal, because at the end of the day, you will have somebody that will come and really confirm it. And you'll know that I'm still supposed to be doing this. And that's what has happened a lot of times.
That's an amazing story, because when a business owner opens a business, it is a walk of faith. It is like whenever I transition from the hospital, like I tell people, my first week on the floor, I decided that I did not want to nurse like that. My first week, you all. And so I didn't like some of the politics, and I was with the LPN who I absolutely adored, and the way the people with higher degrees and higher certifications were treating her, I was just like, this is not what I'm going to do.
Right.
In my first week on the floor, I strategized, I created a plan in order to leave bedside nursing full time within 10 years. So now imagine me getting to that 10-year mark, and way back then I was making over $40 an hour, and me telling all my nurse comrades, I'm not gonna call them buddies, hey, I'm leaving bedside nursing to go open up a training business.
Wow.
That takes some faith.
Yes, it does.
And then to not go back.
That part.
And so if you are a business owner who's also struggling, it's like, should I go back to work? Just really pray about it. And if it's going to stop your destiny, I need you to have some faith in yourself, have faith in God, and also have faith in your purpose. And just keep pushing. All right, so when we talked about connections and collaborations, I will partner my way to the top. But what is the difference between collaborations and connections?
I love that. So nowadays you have everybody telling you, oh, you got to go network. You got to go to this event. You can go broke trying to go all over Jacksonville, but go anywhere and you're going broke with all the business cards you think you need.
Yes.
But there is no real connection. There's no relationship building. There's a difference. Right now I use the term of relational versus financial transactions. Sometimes we just want that next customer, which is a one and done. But loan money takes time. You got to build into that. And so for me, I'm loving teaching people that no, if I'm going into a room, I need to leverage the relationship. I need to know, first off, who I'm trying to get to.
Yes.
Who
You go there
are
with a
they?
plan. You strategize before you go networking.
Exactly. Know where you're trying to go. But also, don't go always trying to make this transaction. It's like, how can I help you? If I'm going to an event, it's like, oh, I want to be a community partner. Tell me some things that's going on. Maybe I can help you. If it's giving away a reference, if it's giving away a connection, at the end of the day, they're going to remember me. And as they continue to deal with me, they're going to call me. Why? Because now it's like, she was awesome. She was authentic. I love her spirit. They're going to tell me that.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, it's like, now we have created relationship to where you trust me. And we know that people do business with who they know, like, and trust. So in that regard, I think there is a very strong connection, a very strong distinction, and businesses need to know that. And they need to know how to collaborate correctly. All association ain't the best association.
No. Someone reached out to me and they wanted me to participate in an event. And I do my own community outreach. I make sure I go out and I teach CPR in the community. I teach at churches, because if you have a for-profit business, you still have a social impact. And so this one person wanted me to do something extra. And I had to remind her that I give to so many people, but only few people feed into me.
Yeah.
So when I find community partners and people who, instead of asking for things, say, what can I do for you, Eunice? Oh my God, my heart just melts. Because I give out so much. And so just for people to realize that I'm just like this, I'm not an infinite source. That I do need to be replenished. And so when you're going out and you're networking, or if you're starting a networking group, start with the end in mind. It's like, what do you really want to accomplish? And if all you're doing is trying to meet people, go on the dating site. I need to meet the right people. And so what's the right person? Like, I'm going to go there with, okay, well, today I want to actually maybe network and talk to somebody and develop a long-term relationship with somebody who is just not looking for something that, okay, I want to buy a t-shirt from you. It's like, well, how can we work together and grow each other's businesses?
And then they may know somebody who has the answer you need. It's like the 6 degrees of separation.
Yes.
You don't know who knows who. So obviously being able to create rapport, leaving a really good and positive impression. We always say that in interviews and such, the first impression is the last impression. Well, sometimes that second and third matter too.
Yes.
Because I may meet you at an event here, I may meet you in Walmart next week, or Target, or somewhere else. And it's about, oh, I remember you. Oh, I remembered you at such and such. Maybe they didn't even talk to you at the event, but they saw you, and you showing up matters.
I have to tell you this because I was one of my mentors actually lost her voice, and I had to speak on her behalf in front of all these city leaders. And on this particular day, there was a VP from a bank there. This was probably 2 years ago.
Wow.
The VP took down my information. I followed up like you're supposed to do, and that's something we don't do after we network, and you normally don't follow up. I followed up. She never responded. She called me on Monday.
Wow. 3 years later?
And she said, I don't know if you remember me. heck yeah, I remember you. And
See?
so I submitted my quote today with my capability statement,
Come on.
with my minority certification.
I love
And
it.
so hopefully the quote is going to be approved, and then I would start providing those training courses to this particular bank. And that never would have happened if my mentor did not lose her voice and if I wasn't rememberable when I was on that stage.
Exactly.
And I wasn't even teaching CPR. It was something totally different. But
Isn't that
because she
something?
knew that, because if I presented that well, you can only imagine what my CPR course is going to
Right,
look
but
like.
don't think they don't research. Don't think that they don't follow up. Everything that you do, like our digital footprint, especially since COVID, it matters. So
Yes.
in business, you don't know who's watching you.
Exactly.
So every space, you are your brand. You show up as you can. Like some people may know me by the the heels or the outfits or just the appearance,
the
something
adult
about you.
shoes that I don't have.
But we always have to be on. Sometimes we don't want to be on, but your character should always go with you everywhere,
Yes.
And so I love it when people say, she's authentic, or I even had to put a post out and say, how do you see me? And it was amazing that people were really dropping some really good. It just really blessed my heart to say, okay, you are making a difference. You matter. There are people that are seeing you, and I think in business, yes, sometimes you want to separate yourselves, but you are looked at as one and the same, and so you have to know how to do that. And those connections and those collaborations, they mean something. When you are partnering with others, again, you're taking on their values, their missions, because again, you have to be in a line somewhere.
Yes.
So that's important.
Last year, I decided to separate my brand, my personal brand, from my business, because it was like I couldn't do much of anything because everybody knew me as the
Right.
nurse, the one who owned this business. And I'm like, I'm so much more than just the
Right,
nurse.
right,
I
right.
have other aspirations besides training and teaching people how to
Yeah.
perform life-saving skills. And so whenever you are building a brand, or let's say that you want to rebrand yourself,
That's it.
I know that wasn't something I had prepared you for, but how could someone brand themselves?
I think that the way you would brand yourself, obviously, it starts with you, like who you are, and I mean, you do the work of your business, right? But people buy who you are. They really are tapping into the trust factor, or how you make them feel, the emotional factor of what you bring to a table. I tell people, even with business, you think that it's the tangible good or service that you're providing, but it could be just the experience level you leave me with. Like if I'm in your space, I'm leaving with peace, I'm leaving with, just this excitement, like you just motivate me when I
Yes.
leave your space. That in itself, you can't find that everywhere. So you can literally use that as a part of your brand to rebrand yourself. It's just like, thinking about it, like, okay, where am I at in this part of my life? Because I'm in this stage of my life, I'm saying, okay, is it time for a new pivot? What does that mean? Does it mean I need to go on social media like this?
Yes.
Yes, it might do. And so it's like I have to come out of my shell, but also tap into the gifts and talents that I know I do have and use that to my benefit. We was talking about technology. Well, I'm still an old school girl, but if I want to stay relevant, then I have to do the work. And I think that in rebranding, you got to do the work. Look at what's out there. Pay attention to what is being done, what's not being done, and then just flow. Fill the void. That's it. Fill the void.
One of my past students, she had contacted a college in another county, and she contacted some other businesses. And I asked every one of my students, how did you find me, or what made you choose me? And it was so sad. She said, you're the only one who answered the phone.
Wow.
Mind you, I don't answer the phones. I use technology. I hired virtual receptionists, so none of my phone calls are missed. But I could not imagine someone calling a college and no one called her back. So hint number one, your brand starts from the moment a customer calls you. It's like, are you going to be receptive? Is someone answering that phone? And if the answer is not, you already are giving someone a negative thought about your brand.
Right, right. A robot can't do everything, so stop relying on them.
Yeah,
They take away the human experience, and we want that back.
Yes, yeah. So, long-term connections versus one-time transactions. You kind of hit it on that. And so why is it important to build long-term connections? How does that affect someone's bottom line?
Well, think about it. You look at the brands that are out here today. From back in the day, Coca-Cola was this brand that, they had a following. There was a certain type of client that they went after, a customer that they were after. but they tried to evolve with all these different flavors. Some of them was crazy as I don't know what. But they always went back to the original. So if you think about yourself as a company and you're thinking about, okay, it's about the long term. Where do you see yourself in 5 and 10 years? Yes, you may evolve. For me, I went from, doing resumes because I built the business based on my job at the time, working in Georgia, working at the Department of Labor, seeing the need of people to get a job and keep a job.
Mhm.
But when I moved to Jacksonville, it literally, I never even thought I'd be a teacher or an instructor like I am now. And I'm like, I'm so blessed in this area because I am now taking the knowledge that I had before and now flipping it into the context of I'm educating someone on how to be better,
Yes.
whether it's their career or the entrepreneur world. And I feel like it's just amazing that we have that opportunity to do that. So basically, if I was to tell anybody, it's like just look at what you're doing, but also look at the long term because again, the world has so much change, but there's ways that you can implement just new innovation. Innovation is what pays right now.
Yes.
So being able to be innovative and looking at your place and your purpose and saying, okay, what does the next 5 years look like for us? Like, how can I be ahead of that curve? How can I support this next generation? Like, you can tap into so many areas with this.
So one presenter, one content creator, what they had posted was when some people look at a challenging situation, such as right now maybe the lack of employees, some people will complain about it, some people run away from it. Well, I'm not going to be in business because I don't have enough staff.
Right.
The people who are going to win are the ones who see the problems and run towards them with a solution.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about filling that void, find the problem, run towards it, but then I'm also going to pretty much restate what Alfreda already stated. Don't be afraid of the pivot. You can't, this is a post-pandemic era. You cannot keep running your business as if it was 2020. You're going to be out of business.
Right? You got so many people now that are scared of this chat GPT AI. But I tell anybody, we'll never lose the need of the human experience. You will never lose that. You'll never lose the opportunity to still stay connected. And more people than not want to still have a human. They want to still be connected to that real life word. And so if you think about it, we came a long way and we still are about to go through so much.
It's about to change again.
When I look at the way the banks are happening and the currencies and all these different things, I mean, you got to stay up to date. You got to stay knowledgeable. Your business as a business is to always know enough to make sure that you are serving your customers correctly, no matter what industry that is. And so you definitely have to pay attention to what's going on. And I think that is what keeps us in business as long as we can. Because for me, now I'm training young adults and I'm talking about the digital footprint because you're so bad on Snapchat and Facebook that you don't understand that I'm searching you out if I had to go find you for a job. And I'm going to base it on what I find on social media. Adults alike, they don't think about those things. So if I'm now adding what's new into what you feel like is just always been, then it's a whole nother level. Look at our finances. Like you said, everybody's using the cash apps and these things. Like cash is now seen to be obsolete, but again, we've having to pivot, so we got to learn.
You got to pivot with them. And so being innovative. So we talked about chat GPT. I use virtual receptionist. And so whenever if I'm hiring a new office administrator, I know you laughed earlier, but I literally have people sit at a computer, type, and send me an email. The amount of young adults who only know how to type pecking because they only use their phones. They don't even know how to send emails, you all. So, just so finding that person, actually investing in them, spending the time with them. So I do need the human, but I need the human to help use some of the AI, the artificial intelligence. I can teach it to you. I know how to use it. And so that is how, if you're a business owner, how you're going to survive in this new economy, this gig economy, is that you're going to have to kind of like incorporate the two. You have a human. So what do I use AI and chat GPT for? Videos. Also, if I need to create a script or if I need to
Yeah.
do some research, even my practice questions that I actually answer the questions to online. I go to Chat GPT and I say, hey, go ahead and complete me create a 25 question multiple choice examination for blah, blah,
Wow.
blah with the answers.
Wow.
Some of the answers are wrong.
See, you can't always rely on that.
So you have to go back and do a little bit of extra research. But
Wow.
the amount of, I mean, it formulated, it did everything for me. And so now I go back and I tweak it. And that's one of my little pointers. So there, for watching this video, you can make your job so much more easier by incorporating Chat GPT and some of the artificial intelligence. And if we can just find young people who know how to type on a typewriter and they can
It's almost
type on a
like
keyboard.
I teach small businesses how to build their first teams by creating the internship experiences. If you don't like what you see in the employees, well, spend that time to develop them.
Yes.
You can't expect everybody to come in and just automatically know everything. Or if they come in, they're coming with bad habits, bad knowledge from their previous employment. You got to be willing to take that fresh mind and create them the way you need them to be. And so even now, that gives these young people a chance because again, they're the first ones to say, you want me to have experience, but you won't give it to me. Coming out of college, you have a degree, but you know that to get hired, you got to have experience
So
behind
we
it.
also have to think about our mindsets because we were taught things in school that
Yeah, a lot
they
more
have
hands-on.
not been taught. And
They're
so
spoiled.
something as basic as using a
They're
keyboard,
spoiled.
they've
They
not.
need to bring back that what was it? Typing 101. Bring it back because that's how we learn.
So let's talk about finding a seat at the table. When I first started off as a nurse entrepreneur, one of the hardest things was because I would go in my nursing uniform because I've been teaching and working, but I own the business. And that's like when they had a university club. You're paying like $150 a month to go to this exclusive club. And I used to love being there, and people would ignore me because I was at this club with a uniform on, but I was the one who owned the business. I remember in particular there was this one news person there, and she would talk to everyone except for me because I looked like a worker and I did not look like the business owner. Meanwhile, the people who looked like the business owners were actually employees.
Come on.
They're the network and the rub shoulders.
Okay.
So here it was, I was trying to fight for a seat at the table, but then I realized that wasn't my table.
That's right. That's right.
I got up and just moved out, and and so now whenever but one of the best connections I did have from being at that particular club was I met Catherine Murphy or Kathy Murphy, and she's the owner of Comfort Keepers, and to this day we have a wonderful relationship.
Right.
But that's because when she saw my uniform, she didn't see anybody who was lesser than.
Come on.
She saw somebody who, man, I could work with her and she can train my staff.
That's awesome.
And so so think about somebody, go back those 10, 15 years ago, me as a new business owner. How do I find a seat at the table when people who don't look like me or don't understand me may judge me?
That's a good question.
I know you got an answer.
When I moved here, I didn't know anyone. And you have a lot of people that'll tell you Jacksonville is this big little city. That's what it is. But what I did know to do was that just knowing my worth, knowing who I wasn't going to limit myself by a zip code, right? I had to do my own research. A lot of people are scared of the chamber for whatever reason. You have to understand that any big business or any corporation that comes here, they look at that as just what it is. It is a resource. It is to find out what's out here. They have amazing councils that are actually aligned to different industries. So I just find where I fit, and even showing up, like you said, sometimes being the only female, sometimes being the only minority in a room. It can be very intimidating. It can be frustrating. But the goal is to make impression. Because if I keep showing up, somebody's gonna ask, "Who are you? What are you doing?" Now I'm being invited into rooms that I even asked,
Why am I
get
here? I'm so
how did I
proud of
get
you.
here? But I'm learning so much that I'm able now to bring back. I tell anyone, learn how to incorporate yourself in city council meetings. Learn what your city is doing. They're telling us, like at the table, this is what we need. We're looking for this, but they're not going out to find you. They're really not. So they need more business owners. They need more women-owned businesses, more minority-owned businesses. They got money to give, but we don't show up. And when we show up, we're not prepared. That's the issue that's going on. So even now, like I said, to tap into resources, it's
I want to
about.
stop you. So even if we find a seat at the table, if we're not prepared to be at that table, we won't benefit
What it look
from
like
the
going
table.
to the buffet with no utensils? You just looking at food, and unless you really want to just really get ugly and eat it with your hands, you're not prepared for that.
Okay.
So right now, when I tell you there is just so much, and I'm literally telling you there's so much opportunity even within our county and our region, and it's like, okay, you say you need these businesses, but it's like we don't know where they are. They're all around you. But yet again, if we're so busy killing and eating at the same time, we got to kill what we need to eat. We're not putting ourselves in a position to be found.
It's really hard to work in your business and own your business
That part.
simultaneously when you're a
That
solopreneur and you don't have enough help.
And being in business means you got to learn when it's time to scale so that you can work yourself out to work on. You know, we can do so much, but you're so scared to trust anyone to come in and help you build. You cannot do this alone, especially if you know that vision is bigger than you. You should be able to, you know, bring in someone that you can develop and to train and take it to the next level so that you can enjoy the fruits of that. Right?
What I will do is at least on 1 or 2 days per week, I schedule downtime. I cannot give myself to my customers 7 days a week. They will try though, because I need time to work on my business instead of working in my business, and I also have some quality of life and to do stuff outside the business so I can be refreshed.
Where the children getting any love? Where the husband, the spouse? You know, unless you just single and you just gotta. Well, even the dog and cat needs attention. So
but
you
then
gotta.
Also, if you're dating your business, take it on a date to the chamber.
That's so good.
It needs to meet. You have to go out here and meet these people. Yes,
you do.
I need to take my business on a date.
You do.
And so right now, all my dates are in house on camera. But in the future, you know I have to get out more. But someone contacted me and they said they wanted to grow their business. And I asked, how can you grow your business when you've already reached your capacity? So if we go out here and we're at the tables and we're meeting with people and they say, hey, I want to hire you, but if I cannot fulfill the obligations, then my brand is going to be negatively impacted. So I know we kind of like got off what our subject was, but we can talk about connections and collaborations.
Collaboration piece, yes, you did.
So how could businesses collaborate and help each other?
See, now I can talk about this for days. I'm running into businesses now that, like I said, they got grandma's recipe. They're scared somebody's gonna steal it, or they're doing what I'm doing. So, you know, I don't want to work. I don't want to work with anybody. Well, at the same time, if you're not making money, what are you really doing?
A hobby.
One thing I've learned is that we do have a capacity limit as being solopreneurs or that one person. But when I'm able to really find the right association, find the right company that I know that our visions, our missions really align, and we do have a fixed goal in mind that we want to, you know, complete this project or do this, I feel like there's strength in numbers. There's strength in numbers, and there's revenue in numbers. Because at that point, we can 1099 each other, have us an MOU in place, and we can get a project done and have an awesome end result that both of us get credit for. And at the same time, we're building.
I see a new partnership.
We're building.
I don't know if she sees it.
We're building capacity for ourselves so that now, probably I can go out and I can do the same. Wash and repeat, right? Rinse and repeat. I'm going out and I'm connecting to not just a for-profit business, but maybe a nonprofit. Again, the social awareness piece. People love that. They will give into that. But at the end of the day, now I've built up capacity, I've built strength. I don't have to do this by myself, but we're so used to that we will die in business.
Well, this
feeling
summer,
like we got to do it all.
I was going to just post an ad for a summer intern. Then I realized I have too many community partnerships who have summer interns
and they're looking for you.
And so I didn't even call, like text, and I'm like, hey D, I need an intern this summer. And she's like, I got you. And I was like,
she got you.
That was easy. But
that's
we laid the foundation. We have a relationship. And so that is the difference between me paying out of pocket for an intern over the summer. Now this particular nonprofit agency who receives donations and grants, they're going to be sending me a high school graduate, probably is either going to be interested in nursing or interested in
That's
education.
right.
And now I get to train him or her up for 3 or 4 months.
That's right.
And then when they go off to college, not only do they have new experience, but I
Mm,
had an intern that I didn't have to pay for.
that's it.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
those collaborations, yes, I mean, contact some more. All right, so we just kind of mentioned that, how to leverage these networks.
Mhm.
What funding opportunities are there? And I know that we're here in Jacksonville, Florida, but your reach is so great. If there's a business owner, because it's like, yeah, that's really nice, but I hear what you're saying, but where's the money? Everybody's always focused on the money. Show me the money, Alfreda.
Ah,
How do I get to the money?
I think that, like you said, it's about research because everybody wants these grants. Well, you got to qualify for those.
So I just can't start off a business and have no revenue and be like, give me a grant?
You could, but you got to still be prepared. A lot of times it's about having your foundation strong. You know, there's a lot of us that have started businesses off the hustle mentality. Like we just go out here and do work, but there has to be a solid foundation to really uphold the business. Because if I'm an investor, I'm looking for the ROI. You're telling me, oh, you want my money, but
ROI is?
return on investment.
Okay.
So if you're telling me you want this money, then you got to tell me, what are you using it for? What is the purpose? How are you going to better the world around you?
No, I just want to start my business.
There has to be a reason. So know your why. Know your why. But we have amazing. There's so much hidden gems. We have what is called community development funding institutions that are in every area. You got definitely different programs. They got pitch. You know, you can be creative in how you receive funding, from crowdfunding, from pitch. You know, opportunities that sometimes your chambers.
Patreon.
Yeah, there's so many ways. But again, don't think you're gonna just be handed stuff that you feel like, oh, well, I just have a business and you should love me. The pandemic had a lot of pandemicpreneurs that came out of it, right?
And they're gone.
Because they didn't have a foundation for longevity. They saw the need. Say the example was making masks. That was a at the moment need. And now that the companies have ramped back up and now supplies everywhere and nobody's wearing them as much as they used to, I mean, now that's went down. But if you think about Uber and Lyft are still rolling, so there's a lot of independent contractors out there. But now you have organizations, or I guess you say corporations like Turo. Now you can rent out anything you got, maybe your bicycle, you know, just put it on the app and people will rent it. There's always going to be this innovation that's added, and you're going to have this, what you think is competition, but you really got to know who you are, you know, building business credit. I've seen a lot of people now really tapping into that kind of undergirds them when they need that burst of capital, because everybody doesn't need a grant.
Yes.
They may just need to build credit and get a loan. Just to get their foot, you know, through the door. But there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of resources out here, especially for women, especially for minority women. One that I get all the email lists of grants that are available right now is through Bank of America and Cornell University. Like they just line them up through state, through whatever you're focused on, or whatever the business purpose is. So you got to just know what it is that you're trying to do, because nobody's just throwing it at you and giving it away. If that was the case, we wouldn't even be worried
I
about
appreciate
this.
you, because I think on 1 or 2 occasions you forwarded a proposal or a bid opportunity to me for CPR and safety training. But being a wise business owner, when I looked at the requirements and then I thought about, well, how logistically am I going to actually achieve this? And then how much am I going to have to pay out to service the entire state? And at the end of the day, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And so
right.
if you all are looking for somebody who can assist you, so we kind of talked in the beginning about your business. We talked about resume services, capability services. What all do you do? Let's package this up and put a bow on it and let our viewers know what services you provide.
So I guess in one hat is all things workforce development. So I do a lot of facilitation trainings for youth and adults in any definitely any marginalized area. So it's from reentry to, you know, disadvantaged, so forth. For business, I'm just in love with helping business strategy, just helping a business think outside of the box on how they can turn their business, grow their business, scale it. They call me the capability connector, because I do offer that capability statement training and creation, which is an amazing marketing tool to get you into these doors, to connect and to collaborate.
For someone who's never heard of a capability statement before, what doors would it get them into?
So think about it. If I'm talking about a resume and we know how that would open the door to get you an interview for a job, do the same thing for your business. You're trying to open the doors to meet investors, to meet funders, to know how to, articulate your business on a way that it shows value, it shows the need. So they will be able to obviously look at you and say, we need you. You can do this for us? Yeah, we need that. It was used more so in procurement than anything. So a lot of times big businesses used it as government contracting. But for small businesses like us, it definitely allows us to talk without doing all the talking. And it definitely can open the door, like I said, for funding, for collaborations, for new business, partnerships. You have to be able to articulate, but nobody wants to hear your whole life story in that window. So this does that.
Kind of like summarizes. So you have a resume for the person. This is my resume for my business, aka a capability statement.
That's right.
As far as your strategy, so a consultation with you would include what? Because you have a lot of information.
And I'll give it all away. For me, consultation means to understand. Like, I'm going to pull out of you why you started business, and then what the goal is, and then being able to give you those out of the box ideas that may help you change perspective on who you're trying to service, because we can't service everybody. A lot of businesses swear that, I just need all the customers in the world. You could never service them effectively. You will burn your own self out and kill yourself,
and then you just damage your brand.
Yes, yeah, and then you can't get that back. And so for me, strategy, it's been an amazing pivot to be able to have that opportunity. Like, I use that same transferable skill, from my career, but just to hear and listen, and then to be able to offer a new perspective on how they can take their business into its next phase.
Right. So my last statement, everybody, if you've not joined your local chamber of commerce, I'm going to ask that you, and when I say join, I shouldn't say the word join. Call them, connect with them, make that connection, because joining sounds like a financial investment.
Right.
Our local chamber, Jack's Chamber, has a lot of free classes, or you can kind of like date the actual council, where today I want to go to a meeting with the health council.
That's right.
I would just pay the $25 to go to dinner with them. So we said networking is expensive.
Yeah. It can be expensive. We have an amazing Jacksonville Women's Business Center that
and I'm sure you have one too in your city.
You do, and but there's just they are always connected to everything that's going on within your business community, and so you don't have to know everything, but you definitely need to do your research and then just find what is valuable to you and go.
Yes, and then don't be afraid to be the unicorn in the room.
That's good.
I was wearing my medical uniform was my business suit. I was wearing my business suit inside of a lot of these corporations. Now, if I go and teach a course and it's going to be, let's say, I'll use Amazon, I wouldn't wear a nursing uniform. I'd have on khakis and a polo shirt.
But think about this.
It made me stand out.
Exactly. Because now who's going to come up and say, well, what do you do?
Yeah, it was at one of the meetings at Jacksport. And of course, you can go through all the lengthy applications in order to get a contract with a government contractor or a subcontractor. I stood up and I said, I'm the nurse you need to know. I can train your staff at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. And they gave me a one-page application, and I trained their staff all the way until the pandemic. Just off of a one-page application. And not being afraid to stand up.
That's good.
I lied. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Somebody who's camera shy. How do you get them to improve their confidence on camera?
Connect with Eunice, man. Because she'll pull you straight out of your comfort zone. That's how I got here, okay? Like you said, you gotta stay on trend. You have to step out of your comfort zone. They say you can't get business if you don't show up for business. And how can people find you if you're not showing up? So this is me showing up, in all my thought processes. Sometimes we'll overthink things a lot. But at the same time, you know, we can't be everywhere, but you have offered me the opportunity to be seen by thousands.
That's right.
And I'm just so grateful for that, because I wouldn't have done this before now.
And now we're going to be doing this more often. All right, so you all, I'm going to encourage Alfrea to actually start her own YouTube channel. When I say this woman has connections, like I don't go out that much. She's out there in the public. She knows about the grants, the business opportunities, who's who in Jacksonville. She's the woman. And in order for her to share this knowledge with others and actually monetize and just do some different things, open up an additional revenue stream, we're going to encourage her to actually get her own YouTube channel so we can follow you and I can get that ping and then I can listen to what you're saying. And so how she said, all right, so to answer that question, how could you become more confident on camera? Record yourself. Actually, if someone, never say no, really, before you say no, think of the reason why you say no to an opportunity to present, especially when you're a content expert. And if the answer is because I don't like how I look on camera, that's not a good enough answer. Okay, so what I recommend you do, because I need for you all to use AI and to use social media in order to grow your businesses, you cannot be afraid to talk on camera. What I will start off doing is just whatever 5 questions that most of my customers ask me, I would shoot a video responding to those 5 questions. And now my students do it to me all the time. Somebody will find me online, they will send me a message, I will text them back with a video that I already pre-recorded.
Oh, wow. But then I'm not shy in front of a live audience. I will go in.
So have somebody there to record you, and then you
can
can turn that into your content.
Okay.
All right, everybody. My name is Eunice Mathis with Florida Training Academy. I thank you all for watching. I need for you to find Alfrea Boney online. How do they find you? What are your social media handles?
So on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you're going to find me under Alfrea T. Boney. Website is www.pscconsulting.co. And so, yeah, I would love to stay connected. So just reach out.
Yes, and what I'll do also is it's going to be later today. I will add the description, and it will also have her contact information. If you're interested in being an entrepreneur, not only does Alfrea provide consultation services, I also do so. And then on our YouTube channel, we actually have the Entrepreneur's Corner. Well, for $50 a month, you can just join a group, and I go in that group weekly. I answer questions. I shouldn't say I go into the group weekly. I go live in the group weekly, and I can tell you that one day with me, one day with her, you're going to get the answers to so many questions you didn't even know that you had. And you're talking about making a business pivot in 2023. You found the right place to start. So, all right, everybody, we sincerely appreciate you for watching, and thank you for liking and subscribing to our channel.